Now listen, if you're the kind of person who thinks adding Coke to a 15-year-old single malt is acceptable, you might just be the reason this podcast exists. Welcome to the Non-Chill Filtered Podcast, where we unpack whiskey like it's emotional baggage.
Welcome back to another episode of Non-Chill Filtered. We interviewed the movers and the shakers of the booze world. Today's episode features a founder from a very small distillery outside of, I'd say, like mainland Australia. It's in Perth. Who's heard of Perth? No, these guys are doing amazing things. Welcome, Jimmy from Whipsnapper. Sir, how are you today?
Yeah, excellent. How are you?
Good. I'm coming out of I just had my wisdom teeth out, so I am slowly getting back into booze, which is nice. It's a nice way to ease myself back in. But sir, as I said, thank you for jumping on with us today. So the people at home that are listening to this, they can get a good idea of who you are. Give us your comic book 01 origin story. How did you find yourself in the predicament of founding a distillery, essentially?
Well, it's one of those, it was a bit of a dream, I guess. But like most dreams, they don't come true. Let's just be realistic about it. I love whiskey. My brother-in-law also loved whiskey. We got chatting about it. Where I grew up in country WA, I was surrounded by a lot of mates who grew grain for the commodity markets, wheat, barley, rye, things like that. So the pieces of the puzzle started to come together pretty quickly. This is back in 2010. We started chatting about it. Pretty bit younger back then, a little bit more naive, thought it would be pretty cool lifestyle to start a whiskey distillery. There wasn't any other whiskey distilleries in Perth at the time as well. Myself and Alistair Mallock, we set out to learn how to make whiskey. Number one, commercially, would be a good start. So we travelled basically to all those major countries that produce really good whiskey, and we kind of, we visited a lot of favourite distilleries that we wanted to kind of maybe replicate some of their styles or try and recreate that here in West Australia. So through the US, through Scotland, eventually through Japan as well. But in the end, we came back and we set out, okay, well, how are we actually going to do this? We didn't have any money, so I remember back in the day, we set out a business plan and we set up in our Alistair's actual backyard with a PowerPoint presentation and started pitching to family and friends, hoping someone would believe in us.
Little seed round for you.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a bit of seed capital just to get the operation up and running. At that time I was a mine surveyor, so I was working away in the mines.
You would have been making bank, plenty of money to start a distillery, surely.
I don't know, definitely not. I wasn't making much money at all, to be honest. Working very hard though. Definitely wanted to change my career trajectory. Get out of mining as well. I do something a little bit more creative. I'm a very hands-on person, love making things. So yeah, that's where that kind of started, and we started talking to different people and build up a bit of a network of people that were willing to give us a hand and get us going in various different forms, whether it was friends who were going to help with electrical work on the eventual distillery that we found, or furniture making, and all those skills that a lot of country people have that were kind of brought to the table. And we settled in Perth. We've settled in beautiful 1950s sawtooth warehouse in East Perth. Not many of them left. We were hunting around. Originally we were looking at setting up the distillery down south in the Margaret River region, down the south coast and down Mark, Swan Valley, where a lot of those producing regions like wine regions are, breweries. And then we fell in love with this spot in the city. So it became one of the first urban distilleries in WA. It was the first urban distillery in WA. It kind of sung to our audience and our demographic and our market as well. We just loved it. So we set up the distillery there, um, committed some people to give us some money and got it going. In the meantime, I had a mentor in the US who taught me some of the basics, and the rest of it was kind of up to me to kind of figure it out,
And
which
navigate
I
through. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and that's what I thrive on really. So just making it work and fixing things and making things. So we built the business back in 2013 and been operating ever since.
So what did the whiskey market look like in 2000, say 13, 14, when Whipper Snapper was trying to get off the ground? Like, you look at Australia now and we're like the top 3 for, say, bourbon consumption. So creating a corn whiskey at that period of time would have been I'd say an incredible feat, just trying to go, well, look, the Australian markets love their sweet products, using corn as a dominant grain, try and get it out there into the market. What did it look like?
It was very exciting times. It was pretty empty as well in terms of whiskey in general, in the industry around Australia. It was kind of the boom days of craft distilling. And we were the second whiskey distillery in the state, and there wasn't many around Australia at that time as well. And like I say, we were the first to kind of focus on corn whiskey, and that was, I've got a heavily influenced by the American style of whiskey production. I'm a big fan of bourbon whiskies and American whiskey in general, and that comes down to the innovation. I really latched onto the innovation in the industry compared to, say, a lot of the locked up traditions that you have in, say, Scotland. So that's where we pivoted and focused more on that American style. And we focus on, we're a grain whiskey distillery, so we're not just a corn whiskey distillery. We focus on different grain profiles, but the corn was the first one off the ranks. And we're building a new category. Back then, it was exciting, and I couldn't wait to kind of get it out to market. We soon ran into challenges entering a new market with a product that we obviously couldn't call a bourbon. Yes, there's a big bourbon market in Australia, but hey, we're not making bourbon technically because it's not made in the US. And we knew that, but we thought getting that message across to consumers would be easier, but it wasn't. In the end, what we call it is an Australian corn whiskey bourbon. But we also we weren't saying, hey, we're going to replicate what is done in Scotland or America or Japan or anything like that. In the end, we're making Australian whiskey and making it our own way, which again is its own category. So it was challenging, but it's exciting. We knew early on as well that the fastest way to kind of educate the consumer about what a corn whiskey is to get them into the distillery. So from day dot, 2014, we started doing tours, whiskey masterclasses. And that's the cool thing about a craft distillery. You can actually come and see how it's all made on site. So, let's start showing people around. Let's show them how corn whiskey is made, why it's different, why you should be scared of it, why it's just as premium as a malt, a Scotch single malt. It's 11 years in now, so I think we've slowly got the message out there that Australian corn whiskey sits up there with all your Aussie single malts as well.
Well, you're building the category because, like as I said, there was nothing in Australia, and there still really isn't. Like the only other one was it Top Shelf International, the Ned, and look at the way that's gone. So the fact that you guys are still around and still pushing, you must be doing some things right. Touching on the distillery itself, since it is the exact same building that you guys were in like 11 years ago, the way you guys have worked out that space as well, like I guess having, say, the gift shop and the bar up front, and then you've still got like warehousing You're able to like age barrels in there, which makes for a very cool backdrop. And then you've got all other point of the distillery. It kind of feels like a movie lot tour, and you just like poking through and you're like, okay, cool, this is happening here. And you're like, turn to the left and you go, oh, cool, an entirely different method of production, but you've Tetrised it all into this small space that you're working with. Do you find that like utilizing the same space, your I'd say procedures get a lot tighter and you're able to find a faster turnaround?
Yeah, it is. I guess the space has always been challenging in a way, but I'm pretty anal about how we structured the distillery itself, and the process flow and things like that as well, to make it as efficient as possible. So yeah, you're jamming in a lot into one building. You've got a hospitality side of the building, you've got retail, you've got tourism, and then you've also got production, and they all need to. And we're 7 days a week. We've been open 7 days a week since we've opened. So it all has to kind of meld together perfectly in harmony, because tourism side of it, it's revenue for the business. Production isn't necessarily bringing in cash, but it needs to function to be able to give 2 to 4 years time. So it's always been a fine balance and fine tuning over those years, but we do it quite well. And the people in the operation. The fundamental part of any distillery really is how we present the distillery and how clean and tidy we keep it. So there's a lot of that, and it is tricky, especially with barrel storage and things like that. We do have another warehouse now, but I think it's also important to have a space. I think a brick and mortar's cellar door where your consumer can access you and see how your product's made, because that gives us a competitive edge, say, in terms of, well, we're relating it back to some of your imported American brands in which we kind of compete with.
Oh, definitely.
That's what we've got that they don't have. You can't easily access them and see behind the scenes. And I can tell you some of those operations are on a mass scale, which will probably put you off some of their product. Whereas you can come visit us and see how it's made, where the grains come from. You'll see pictures of the farmers. You'll see open top fermentation, distillation, maturation, even the bottling done live on site, which I think is important. And it kind of also gets that message across to people that, okay, well, why is Australian whiskey more expensive? Well, come have a look and we'll show you why it's more premium and why the quality is still there and why it's going to cost you a little bit more than, say, some of your mass-produced stuff. So, and the other reason we've also got hospitality in there is obviously we need to be able to sell there, but we also need, especially in those early years when you're not selling whiskey, you need to bring in revenue from somewhere. And that was for us events and things like that, because we didn't go down the path of making gin or white spirits. We had a moonshine, but again, that's a new category that didn't sell very well. That's a hard sell. But we focused on being a whiskey distillery and being good at making whiskey, and that was it. But we sacrificed a lot of that easy turnover with white spirits in the early years.
I've reached a bit of a point. I'm like, I want to take it one way, but you brought up an interesting topic about, I guess, the first few years. So you said your product's 4 years old. What did the first 4 years look like for you guys? Because you started producing moonshine, then it was barrel aged moonshine as well. Because once again, you want to have a revenue stream to keep the doors open, essentially. How did that? I guess how was it navigating the first 4 years?
Yeah, it was only 2 years. So our whiskey's 2 years. Yeah. The Upshot series is mostly 2, but then we go into the We Got series 4 and 5 years. Yep. So it was 2 years, but yeah, you're right. It was tricky. We still had to do the moonshine and events, and we've got the coffee cellar door as well. But it also plays into how much you wanted to produce. So a lot of that cash is getting sucked up into making the whiskey, and you're trying to predict how much whiskey you need to make for the future sales as well. So that was a bit of a learning curve running a business without a steady cash flow. So investment came into that as well. So we opened it up to more investment in those early years to bring in more capital, which is tricky, like especially in the West, a lot of investment over here is tied up in mining. They're high risk but high return.
I can understand the whiskey game then.
Yeah. Risky is it's high risk at the moment. Back then it was probably low risk, but very very low return. It's a long term investment. You're building something that will have a lot of legacy. It's a long term business. Slow growth, and trying to convince investors that was hard. So again, that was another learning curve for us how to raise capital in a tough market. And it's gotten ever so harder for a lot of people out there in the industry to raise capital. So yeah, it was tight. And back then, I guess we were just steadfast against doing gin and vodkas and things like that. But in hindsight, I think that could have accelerated that growth if we did do something like that. In today's market, if you were starting a distillery and you wanted to do white spirits, again, very, very tricky now. It's just flooded. The market's flooded. So, but the cool thing is, from a brand perspective, we got through that, and we are known as a whiskey distillery, which is what we wanted in the end.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is have a gin or a vodka go viral. And that's what you guys are known for. And then you're like, well, we've produced this whiskey, and people are like, well, I don't care about your whiskey. I only care about this gin and this vodka you've produced. And then it's like, well, what am I going to do with all this stock that I've now prepared? It's a tricky one. So I guess we're very blessed that you guys took that road, and I guess we landed where we are now. With your grains, you guys are utilizing one of the my favorite stories from you guys is like utilizing these Australian grains, predominantly from WA. How do you guys find these farmers?
Yeah, so all WA, that's what we set out to do. And I guess the idea originally was to, instead of kind of relying too heavily on barrel programs to give us our flavour profile. Obviously, barrels are extremely important for flavour in a whiskey, but focusing more on the raw ingredient first and allowing the provenance of that grain to shine through into your profile in your whiskey, and highlighting those farmers as well, and local grains, which I don't think we do enough of in Australia. It's particularly if you look at Scotland, it's typically more the same style you make, same grain profiles, quite simply irrelevant in mass production. It's more just what barrels it come out of. So we're like, well, there's no traditions over here with that stuff, so we're going to focus on local grain and that grain profile, giving us our flavours. So all the farmers are my mates. So that was the easy part, sourcing the grains. Yeah, exactly.
Grains, yeah.
Yeah, we know them all. So, our corn's from Kununurra way up in the Kimberleys, East Kimberley region. The wheat, the barley, the rye, the quinoa that we use as well, things like that are all from the Wheat Belt region of West Australia. It's one of the largest growing regions in the country. So, and that was where I grew up. So, I went to agricultural college. So I was surrounded by grain growers from their day dot. So it was pretty easy. But the cool thing as well, knowing the farmers and having access to those farmers, we can get varieties grown for us specific to what we wanted to achieve in our whiskey. For instance, the coloured corns, there's no one else in Australia doing coloured corns. So obviously we do Upshot, which is our original yellow corn. Then we started importing different corns for him to grow. And he grows that just for us. He just has one paddock that he plays around with. We did the red corn. We've got the rainbow corn. He's growing some baby blue for us at the moment.
Ooh, okay.
Super challenging for him. He doesn't make any money off it. He's a super awesome dude, but he will take bottles of whiskey instead, which is a great commodity for us. And that was to kind of highlight as well the different profiles you get from grain to grain. So we make the Upshot series the same in terms of the barrels, the maturation cycles that we use to distillation. It's just we swap out the grain, and bang, you get a different flavour profile. So, which is pretty exciting. Even now as well with our single malt that we make, we're getting it from a farmer who's a good mate of mine I grew up with. He grows it, and then he's also got a craft malting plant now on his farm. So we actually got our own spec malt done for us, with a blend of different Munich and distiller's malt and this honey badger they call it, which has got a bit of a honey flavour to it. So we've custom blend our own malt on the farm gate and get delivered by his wife to the distillery, which is pretty cool. So
Very cool,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So I think it just gives us a unique standpoint as well. But some of the quality in those grains are incredible. Like our rye whiskey at the moment is banging. It is incredible. It's a heirloom variety.
I love your rye. Oh,
yeah, I saw it in the background there.
Yeah, I absolutely love your rye. It's like easily one of my favorite Australian ryes. Speaking of, I'm going to pour some now.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, the latest batch is incredible.
Well, as you guys continue to produce, it's just going to get older and older, and it's just going to reflect quality, right?
Yeah. I think what barrel number is that?
I've got barrel number 2.
Okay, yeah. I think we're a lot of this Weekbar series at the moment is coming out at around over 5 years old now.
Oh,
and that being in New Oak in our pretty warm, dry climate is it's doing some pretty incredible things.
I love it. It's really hard to get around Australian whiskey for me because, as you can see, I'm just surrounded by corn. So there's not many distilleries in Australia that are actually producing, I'd say, stuff that I'd reach for. So trying your rye a few years ago, I was like, oh no, I found an Australian rye that I'm really vibing. So it was cool to come back, say earlier this year? I think it might have been. And then just come back through and trying more of your new releases. But I guess you said you have a wheat belt series. You want to take people through that in case they're not familiar with?
Yeah, so the separation there, so the Upshot series was our original series, and that's what corn whiskies. So we've got the Upshot original, we've got the Bandit, we've got the Cask Strength as well. Then we've got the Rainbow Corn, we've got some fortified Upshot. We've got the PX. Yeah, that was incredible. That sold out pretty quick, that one. That was in a 60-year-old fortified cask that we got from a friend in the valley here. From a pretty famous winery too, the Italiancic winery, incredible fortifieds. This barrel was so thick and juicy. We put it in, so we put in the Upshot. It was already 2 years old, and we left it there for another 4 because I kind of forgot about it. And then we pulled it out, and it was like, okay, this is too heavy. It just tasted really too heavy on the port side of things. So we actually did a Solera. We kind of dialed it down a little bit, but so that's the Upshot series, right? So that's the corn whiskey series. Then we go over the wheat belt series. So this is where the distillation is a little bit different. So they're heavier, bolder distillates. So that means it's going to require a lot more time in barrel as well. These include our single malt. This includes the rye whiskey, which you've got, the wheat whiskey. That was our first that we released in that series. So that's a 90% wheat. It's a special red winter hard wheat. And we've also got one that's not released yet, which is a barley whiskey, which is unmalted barley, mostly unmalted barley. And that's been aging for about 9 years now. So that hasn't been released yet. We might look at that next year. But they're all single origin kind of grain whiskies and they're all premium grains. So it sits on the higher end of the price point, but they're aged longer and they're heavier distillates as well. So if you like a lighter style whiskey, go for your Upshot. If you like your kind of heavier grain whiskies, that wheat belt series is kind of where you want to aim for. But in saying that, the Upshot series we had a 9-year-old that we released last year. And that was pretty cool.
I tried the Big Love.
Big Love, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like sold on it. I was like, yeah, I need this, but like a case of them delivered to my place. Because I think it might have been maybe 6 months after you had the bottle sitting out or something. I was talking to one of the bartenders there, and I was like, yeah, this like incredible. It was what, 7 years old. I can't remember if I tried the 9-year when we were there last, but I was just like, okay, you guys are on the right track here. It's just like, all right, longer in oak, and you're, I guess, touching new flavor points that you haven't been able to discover before using, I'd say like 2-year-old, 4-6-year-old distillate. So
Yeah, I mean, I think so with the Big Love as well. That's actually our kind of strip spirit. So that only goes through 4 distillations. So it's a heavy spirit. It comes off
yeah,
the still at around 60%. So
beautiful.
that stuff, that is one of my favorites. Although it's not released yet, it is like a really heavy Hexan style bourbon. That's been cooking in the sun for 10 years. We'll probably release that at 10 years. So I think that might be next year I think we're planning that for next year. It'll sit probably around the 50% as well.
Oh,
But yeah,
amazing.
that is a very, very rich, very, very rich bourbon. But yeah, very different to the Upshot original, which is much lighter, easier going for our market here. But yeah, if you really like your heavy style bourbon, that's probably as close as you're going to get it.
Yeah, when
But
you go to the website, I got to fly over.
yeah,
Tasty. All right, so we've got your essentially entry level easy sippers, something for someone to grasp onto. Then we've got your wheat belt series. Your take me through your single malt. What was the decision to start laying down some single malt? I feel like it didn't feel on brand for you guys, but like the fact you're like, well, look, we've got this beautiful grain that we're growing here. Let's really showcase it and put it in some different casks you had available.
yeah. I mean, you basically nailed it right there. I mean, I'm a big single malt drinker myself, so I really wanted to do one. It was just about doing it in our own way, not kind of doing what the rest of the market was doing. So what you see with the single malt as well, it's done differently through our column stills. It's gone through quite a few plates of distillation, but again with that we use our ex Upshot barrels. So with say the Upshot original, they get brand new American oak every time, exactly the same as the bourbon industry. And these are 200 litre IC casks, char free. Get using them once.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So, and they're all 24-month season casts as well. So they'll do 2 years in the Upshot. And then most of these barrels don't get reused again. So we sell them back into the Australian whiskey industry or into the brewers. But like, I guess, if you think a lot of single malts around the world, they use ex-bourbons. And we're like, well, we have our own ex-bourbon style, right? So Australian whiskey barrel. So we roll those over. So we've got a bit of that kind of Whipper Snapper DNA in that cask and roll over into our single malt. So that's a big point of difference there is the casks that we use, our own casks from our previous corn whiskey. And then the grain portion of it as well is quite unique as well. So again, what we're passionate about is just highlighting those local grains, those point of differences as well. So the single malt, that's at 5 years at the moment. It's winning gold medals. It's kicking goals like the rest of the Wheat Belt series have all won gold medals and category wins at the World Whiskey Awards this year.
Congratulations.
So yeah, thank you. So yeah, it's a solid drop. And it's different. It still carries that Whipper Snapper DNA. A lot of caramel, a lot of vanilla, and stewed apples and pears and stuff like that. So it's a nice whiskey.
And once again, you're saying it's carrying that Whipper Snapper DNA, that is also what drives me towards single malts as well. It's like, give me essentially bourbon, but give it a single malt twist, and you're like, okay, cool. I can sit here, enjoy this. Give me a glass. I'll navigate my way through it. And I'm like, do I feel like another one? Maybe, maybe not. But it's, I'd say more of a comfort thing for me. So it's cool that you guys are able to go, well, we'll reuse the barrels. Plus, it keeps everything in house too. So it all works. Okay. What else do you guys have in your portfolio? He did the last big release. You got some cool stuff coming up. I'm trying to remember. Did they tell us anything? Oh, quinoa.
Yeah.
Quinoa. How did you stumble into quinoa? That was insane. Like the fact that you guys are like, just distill quinoa. Let's make it a whiskey.
Yeah.
I never heard of it before. Never thought about it. I'm just like corn primary grain, and you guys are like quinoa.
We like to shake things up a little bit, be a bit controversial. Yeah, the quinoa was an interesting one because again, a friend was growing it, family friends of ours, and we thought, why not give it a crack, turn it into a whiskey? Because the farmer who was delivering some wheat to us, and he goes, "Oh, I'm actually planning to grow some quinoa." Because it's a big market. This is back in like 2015, 2016 when quinoa market was kind of booming and it was all on trend for this high protein kind of fad at that stage. So we're like,
I'm trying to feed it to me. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll pass. Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty bland stuff. Yeah, I never got onto it myself, but I thought we'd make a whiskey out of it. And at the time, there was only one other distillery in the world doing it. It was Corsair. I think they were in Tennessee, from memory. They were making quinoa whiskey. So I reached out to them, and we're like, let's give it a go. And it was very, very difficult to mill. Number one, it's a tiny little seed, and it was just falling through the mill. So we had to mill it like 5 times to get any flour out of it. And then obviously it's high in protein, so pretty useless really in terms of like converting that to alcohol. You need carbohydrate. So it didn't yield very well. Fermented similar to corn. But made a whiskey out of it. It was good fun. It was called Project Q. Sold pretty well. Very polarizing in the industry and whiskey palates out there, which is exciting. I love annoying people, pissing them off a bit. It's very nutty and earthy and spicy. And I've had malt distillers from Scotland, 30 years in the industry, come over on holidays, and they're like, quinoa whiskey, the fuck is that? And then have a taste and, oh, this is incredible. This is so different. Then I've had people go, this is not for me, So look, we don't make it anymore, but I've got heaps of barrels of it, yeah.
You got bigger things going on. You're like, we got to get out like all these Wheat Belt series and like Big Love, and you're like, can't be gone are the days where you need to be creative with different grains. Do you find yourself still wanting to do that kind of stuff though? Like just take, like, as you said, you were doing like rainbow corn, red corn, different heirloom corns. But I'd say like fucking around, so to speak, with different other kind of grains.
Not so much. We've got so much on the portfolio. We only have to head to the website and see like how many different products we've got. And I've still got different ones in cars. So yeah, in the early days, it was a lot of mucking around and R&D and things like that. But I think the way the industry is at the moment, we need some kind of solid continuity in the brand structure and the whiskies as well. So yeah, I'd love to do a bit more, but I think we've got enough. I think we're going to continue with our seasonal releases of different coloured corn varieties. So we've got some green corn there. That's endless, really.
Yeah.
But in terms of using different grains, we'll probably keep a lid on it for now. and keep it as is. I mean, we still, like I said, we've got this barley whiskey that's not released yet, which is more of an Irish style, right? Which is malted barley. We just haven't released that even. So, and that's a new style that you probably won't really see here in Australia as well. So, yeah, we just got to calm down a little bit. Yeah.
How did you land on like a barley style whiskey? It's not something you wake up in the morning going, "This is what I want to do today."
Yeah. I mean, it's fun to be creative. You don't have to kind of conform to the norms that we have
No, of course.
in the world. As long as you're making it, you're not trying to reinvent the wheel, and you're respecting those traditions. And number one, you're making good quality whiskey at the end of it. It's okay to play around with different grains. There's no rules against that. But from the end, I guess from the marketing and the sales point of view, you got to think of the economics of it as well. You can't keep creating all these niche products like quinoa because they're not gonna keep your business afloat. If you know what I mean.
No, definitely not. No, you'll definitely get some clicks online, and people are like, "Oh, I have to suss that out," but it's not gonna pay the bills.
Yeah.
It's choosing I'd say Irish style whiskey is an interesting move because once again, it just rounds out that wheat belt series portfolio for you guys. Then you're kind of like hitting all the different markets there.
Yeah.
It's an interesting move. I'll circle back to the events you guys are holding on site. I know you guys were sending like barrels to brewers, and then you were releasing the beers within the distillery. Are you guys still, I guess, working closely with brewers to create your own Boilermakers?
Yeah, no, not so much. I think that was mostly driven too by a lot of the brewers as well. That is the same kind of cycle, life cycle where the craft scene was booming in the craft beer scene, and they were all trying to be different with all these different funky beers and aged beers, and I mean that still happens, but they've kind of narrowed down and commercialized a lot of the ranges. You probably noticed with beer as well.
Yeah.
Because that's the leadership of the market. It's not. I mean, a lot of brewers love creating stuff like we do, but you need a good solid lager, and you get a good solid pale ale and things like that to pay the bills. So we don't do as many of them, but yeah, back in the day we were doing a lot. And again, this is with friends as well. The guys at Feral back in the day, Eagle Bay Brewing, Beer Farm, guys like that are just good lads to go have a beer with and create cool stuff as well. Because the beer industry over here is quite large, and the whiskey industry is tiny. Distilling industry is very small. So we lent on them because they were our closest neighbour in terms of similar industries. And we learnt a lot from the beer industry in the early days of how to grow and how to market, how to get a voice out to the consumer as well. So, but yeah, we still have a bit of fun here and there. We're actually in a couple of hours heading off to a brewery for our staff party. So we're off to a friend's brewery called Found, cracking beers to go have some beers, something a bit different for our team. So it should be fun.
I'm lucky I've got you today and not like post hung tomorrow. That's.
Well, we could have done it tonight, and I would have been.
Yeah, right. That's would have gotten all of you goss. Oh, I love it. Okay, so you said you use ISC. How did you get the contact for ISC and decide to start using their barrels? Because I don't know anyone else in Australia that is using Independent Stave Company in Australia.
Yeah, well, this is where it helps having a mentor in the US. He was buying ISC barrels for his distillery in Colorado, and when we set up, he was like, "Look, I don't think you'd be able to get them in Australia because their books are full, but I'll buy them and then ship them to my house. He's got a property, and then I'll arrange the shipping to Australia." So that's how we were doing it in the early days.
That is insane.
Yeah, they caught on to that.
Yeah.
And so there is I guess a retailer here in Australia, 1912 Cooperage. Patrick, absolute legend, knows heaps about barrels. So Patrick actually reached out to us and say, "Hey, you're buying IC Cooperages? I'm actually the local dealer." So, and it's good. We've had that relationship with 1912 for a long time now. So, yeah, we were the first in Australia to import, um, I guess, New York for the purpose of whiskey. A lot of the distilleries at that time were kind of repurposing uh, wine barrels and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is a different way of doing it, but we focus on that virgin oak that had been used, the traditional, I guess, bourbon style cask. Yeah,
Because you were aiming to be as close as you could to bourbon anyway, so the narrative fits. It's
yeah,
I love it. Also, your connection to the military. We were over there, myself and a couple of defence members. We dropped in a couple of pours, a tour, and they found out about your defence connections and how you guys you've got a club for defence members.
yeah. That's right. We've got the Whipper Snapper Veterans Club that was founded in, I think, about 2021. And we do have obviously a tribute to World War II vets in terms of the bomb and plane. So that was a neighbour of my brother-in-law, Vic Tango, who flew Lancasters during the war. So, and he used to make a bit of homebrew and moonshine in his backyard. So that's where my brother-in-law, Al was inspired to start making whiskey because his neighbour used to make it. So that's where the bomber plane kind of came from. And we wanted to kind of highlight that. And I guess it was, those guys are as brave as you get, who jump in those little flying tin cans, and most of them never came back. Yeah, it's insane. So, but from that, I guess we do have connections, and we started to do some private labelling for some military units over here in the West, and it started to grow, and we started to employ veterans as well. And then currently, our current general manager is a 18-year Army veteran himself, and he's heavily involved in founding that with myself, the Veterans Club, back in 2021 to give back to veterans. And that's been going really strong. We've probably got about 800 members on that system. We occasionally do events in the distillery for them, exclusive for them. And it was the original ethos for it, or the original plan for it, was to kind of give veterans or serving members still, not just for veterans, a place to kind of hang out that's off the books, private, and somewhere where they could still have that camaraderie, even if they're not still employed. Because we see a lot of that where they might leave the service and they're a little bit lost. They're not sure where they could be employed. And they lose that kind of those friend groups that they have in the military, or even emergency services as well. So we want to kind of replicate that as best we could. We're only a small business, so we can't offer too much, but we've got discounting and things like that. So, and that's been going strong for quite a while. And I mean, Ryan, the GM who was in the army, he now heads up his own charity as well, Working Paws Australia, which is a lot of that's designed for ex-working military animals or dogs for medical, like post-career medical services and things like that, where a lot of the military at the moment, once these animals are discharged, they may go with their handlers or their owners. There's no medical support from the government from then on, so it's on your own. It can be quite expensive as well. So that's all. Yeah, it is a shame. Yeah, it is a shame the government don't support that, and that's a whole other battle that Brian deals with his charity, trying to get funding for that. So yeah, we do a lot in that space as best we can as a small business, but we're still doing a lot of private labeling for military as well, which is pretty cool. We've probably done 50 different labels over the years for different units in the Navy, in the police force, in tactical response groups around Australia, in the Air Force, through a lot of your special forces units as well. So it's pretty fun, and we do corporate stuff as well. So yeah.
So what did that private labeling look like, especially if someone was looking at, I guess, getting in touch and wanting to create a private label? Would it look like a barrel select, or would it be a like purely just a custom label on a release?
At this stage, it's just a custom label on a release. I wonder if I've got a shelf at the moment. Up here, but it's just basically a custom label. So you would approach us with a design. We have a template, which makes it easier. You can kind of fill out the template. We take your design, we take it to our graphic designer, and then we design a label. And we normally give you an option of the type of whiskey you might want: upshot or banded, or some of the cask strength wheat bell series. So a lot of the organisations will use it for fundraising. So they're not looking for something too specialised, because I guess when it gets to creating a whiskey from scratch, it gets a little bit pricey, it gets a little bit complicated as well. Whereas you just take one of our whiskies off the shelf and we design a new label for it, and then you can go and do whatever you want with it, fundraise, commemorative things. So, and we do that all the way from 24 bottles, all the way. We've done one for the police over here recently. It was 250 bottles for a 40th anniversary, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
it's essentially a single barrel anyway.
It is. It's basically single. That was a special single barrel actually, which is easy to do when you go up to a full cask. Yeah, that's right.
No, that is sick. It's great to see like distilleries actually going, well, look, we recognise the hard work that the people of Australia are putting in, and like wanting to go, well, look, we'll actually set up a space for you, come hang out, a couple of drinks, and like just be able to essentially debrief.
Yeah.
It's cool to see. Well, thank you very much for jumping on with me today. You ran through the questions, you crushed it. You want to do a little rapid fire closeout with me, just to kind of round off, I guess our little chat today.
Yep, I'll keep it as short as I can.
Yeah, all right. It's all right. There's only a couple of questions here.
Yep.
What is one of the weirdest whiskies you've ever tried?
That is a good question. I want to say it's probably our quinoa whiskey.
It's definitely something else.
Yeah.
It's not going to be my go-to, but it's the fact that you guys came up with it and go, fuck it, let's create this. It's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
It's just picking grains off the shelf. I like it. Okay. Are you a cask strength or I'd say perfectly balanced kind of man?
Perfectly balanced. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I'm drinking it, in warm weather on a beach with friends, so it needs to be more versatile. Yeah.
Well, especially the warmer weather over in Perth. It's summer cocktail season at the moment. Like, I'm sweating here today, and it's like 31. I'm complaining. So I can only imagine the Mediterranean climate you guys are persevering through today.
Yeah.
All right. In a whiskey apocalypse, all the bottles are gone except one bottle. What is that bottle you're creating a cult around?
Big Love. 100%.
Okay.
100% Big Love. Yeah.
That is... I can't wait. I'm so excited. This is the bottle I've been dreaming about for years.
Yeah. Gives us all love in a big way.
All right. Last two. In your opinion, what is the most highly rated but undervalued whiskey on the market at the moment?
I think it's probably Garrison Brothers. Yeah, if you can get hold of some of their special releases,
like the Gamora.
Yeah, even their Cowboy release as well.
Yep.
However, it's probably highly rated in the US. It's just underrated here, probably because you
Yeah,
can't get it really.
it's
Yeah.
it. I think I might have tried like maybe they're 2 standards, and I'm like, okay, like classic Texas bourbon.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I might have to try and find some, send you over some. Okay.
Yeah. I've got a stack at home actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was gonna say, you can't have you missing out on Texas bourbon. Okay. And last question. If you could share a dram with any historical figure from any point in time, who would it be and why?
It'd have to be Winston Churchill. Like, who wouldn't want to sit there and have a whiskey with that? I mean, the amount of drinking that guy did and functioned at such a high level, and just to hear him speak as well, like just that would be my go to. I think sitting around with him and have a cigar and a whiskey.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you very much for jumping on with me today, Jimmy. I appreciate you taking the time, especially before your big staff event tonight.
Look at that.
You can be tearing it up. I love it. Well, yeah, thank you very much for jumping on. Do you want to link in your socials? Do you have any events coming up that you want to plug?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. It's been a good chat. It's been really easy. Just whipsnapperdistillery.com. Jump on there if you are interested. If you're a veteran or a serving member, the information's on the Veterans Club there. You can sign up. It's pretty easy. Private labeling as well. If you can and doing private label, it's all on the website. Jump on, or give us a follow on social media as well. Whipper Snapper Distillery. So yeah.
Oh, thank you. And any events coming up?
Nah, no events at this point.
How'd you do at Whiskey Abbey, actually, before I ran you out?
Yeah, Whiskey Abbey was great. Great show. Great audience as well. Good vibe there. A lot of great distilleries. So it's probably one of the best whiskey shows I've ever done.
Awesome.
So if you get anyone listening want to go there next year, definitely do it. And what a lot of people were doing, were getting 2-day tickets because there was so much selection there. Do like one haul on one day and the next haul on the second day, because you will not be able to get through it all before you get too drunk. So yeah, good show to go to.
Getting obliterated and like missing out on this quality. Well, you can have people getting obliterated, but you don't want to miss out on the good quality whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll be there next year, hopefully. Yeah.
Amazing. Anything planned for Sydney soon then?
Nah, nothing at this stage. Watch out for Big Love.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait. All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I will link everything in the show notes anyway. But yeah, thanks again for jumping on. I appreciate you. And hopefully you pull up okay tomorrow.
Easy. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers, legends.
Cheers,
thank you.